everyone! It's been an incredibly long time since I made a video, and that is only because various things happened within the space of 7 months, and also I haven't actually ordered any figures for a long time. So my pre-orders didn't start until April this year, and Mizuki came out this April. I've mentioned it many times before, but Bokugaru is my favourite manga of all time, and Suzushiro Mizuki was announced a figure last February. No doubt I think this figure will probably become the favourite in my collection automatically because it's Bokugaru, and I never ever guessed that Bokugaru would receive any sort of merchandise. Considering it has no merchandise yet, Native for some reason picked up on the series and made a figurine. So this is a 1/6 scale painted figure of Suzushiro Mizuki, who was drawn by Sugito Akira, who made the manga, and this has been sculpted by Chieri, which is a name I do recognise, and it is made by Native. This is my first Native figure, and I know that it's in the name, it's meant to be naked and creative, which is strange, but I know that they do make not safe for work figures, so this is my first time buying from them. Not because I have anything against anything that's not safe for work, it's more so the fact they have never made a figure of a character I'm interested in, but it would be nice if they picked up on a few eroge characters, that would be quite cool, but for now I'm really happy that they picked up on Mizuki and made a figure. This is 1/6 scale as well, so it's a nice size, and also I am really excited. Bokugaru I read right from the start when the first volume came out. I read every volume when it came out, and then the novel as well when that came out. And there was a Dakimakura cover that came out as well, but there are only 5 of them made. Enough of that. Something that caught my eye was actually the fact that it comes with an envelope. And inside the envelope there is an illustration card, and none of this was actually specified when the figure details were released, so that was really interesting. I was not expecting that at all, but this is drawn by Sugito Akira, and the figure is based off of this illustration. This is an illustration that was in one of the panels in the book. This is really nice, I wasn't expecting that at all. There's even a tiny little locky at the very top. And as for the box itself, I am really happy and quite surprised. I've never bought a Native figure, so I'm not used to the way they box their figures. I think most not safe for work figures come in a box that doesn't have any windows, which makes sense, but this one is particularly interesting because whoever designed this is extremely clever and understands that Mizuki is a boy and a girl and changes. They have designed the box with pink and blue, and I'll show you the lid. They connect the female and male signs together, which is quite interesting. This is a really nice figure box. I've never really seen anything like it, but that's probably because I've never bought a not safe for work figure. The back is the exact same, just in blue. I really like this box. I know I'm getting excited over something silly, but we have Suzushiro Mizuki written on both sides. The blue one has the male sign and the pink one has the female sign in the O of his name, displayed as though it's meant to be in a window, but he's kept inside a box that has no windows. The box emitted an incredibly nasty smell when I opened it. It smells of paint and not so much of plastic, which is a new one for me. So we have the instructions and just what it comes with. The tail is in fact bendy, so you can move that in whichever way you'd like, and the instructions show you exactly which way it's supposed to be moved, and it is incredibly long. Mizuki does not need a base, but does come with one, and the base actually seems like a table. We have the 2 hood pieces, and we have a tiny locky, which is the demon that changes Mizuki from male to female and messes around with him, but is quite an important character in the story and is incredibly tiny. Loki isn't actually this tiny in the book, this is just a little version. Loki sits on Mizuki's head and is the one that is holding the end of the tail, I believe. And we also have these plasters taped to Mizuki inside of the plastic. If you don't want to display Mizuki naked, then you can just use these to cover. As for Mizuki himself, I'm extremely happy with him so far. I haven't put all the pieces on yet. I'm super happy with him so far, so I'm going to attach all the pieces and then take a closer look at him. Here is Mizuki all unboxed and put together. The tail was quite hard to work with since You have to bend it into shape yourself, and it's quite difficult to get a perfectly smooth bend all around the body in the correct way. I think if you wanted to, you can bend it in whatever way you wanted, but I wanted to match the illustration as best as possible, and the hood is up too. But if you want, there is also the option where the hood is down, which is quite nice too. So I have never received a native figure before, but after receiving one I can definitely see why they are so highly praised of people who mostly collect figures that may be not safe for work, since native make figures mostly in that category. Mizuki's face definitely matches the art style of Sugito Akira, and I really like the way they've kept the style of the manga by painting the hair in the exact same way. I really like the attention to detail, and I really like the expression on his face. I'm really glad they chose this illustration, since I think it makes for a really good figure. I'm also really glad that they chose this illustration because Loki is included, even though Loki is very tiny in this illustration and merely sits on Mizuki's head. As for Mizuki's chest area, the plasters are removable and they are magnetic, which is definitely the best way they could have gone with that. All that's underneath the plaster is just the magnet, and it's got no paint on it whatsoever. So it's very nice to have the option to display him either way. This is definitely the most detailed clothing I've ever seen on a figure. From the back it's definitely a lot more clear. I think that they've done a really good job on the hoodie of Mizuki. I think this looks really lovely. My only problem is that the hood is quite difficult to fit into the back. Once it's in, it'll stay in, but sometimes it might leave a little bit of a gap like my one has. As for the rest of Mizuki's body, I think that his entire body and form has been sculpted extremely well, since it carries off a very feminine look, and in this form Mizuki is meant to be female. Mizuki is just wearing a pair of underwear and that's about it. Overall, I'm really happy with this figure. I think this is my favourite figure in all of my collection, excluding Yumiko and a couple of others. I'm so happy and honestly still really shocked that a company, especially Native, made a figure of Bokugaru. It's got no other merchandise whatsoever, and I doubt it ever will. I'd be incredibly surprised if it even got another figure. I'd be elated if it did, but I am so happy that they did make a figure of it, since there is no other merchandise and a figure was completely out of the question for so long. And it's really lovely that such an obscure manga that is my favourite managed to get such a wonderful figure. So I highly recommend this to anyone that likes Native, anyone that likes traps, or anyone that has actually read the Bokugaru manga, and I highly recommend reading it. But please buy the official version and support the creator of the manga. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this review, and hopefully I will be able to upload more figure reviews really soon.